Elon Musk was on his way to yet another high-stakes video conference about Tesla's Cybertruck. Just another day, another meeting, another round of discussions on design, battery efficiency, and production schedules. But as his Cybertruck glided through the streets of Austin, something unusual caught his eye. At a busy intersection, a small crowd had gathered. In the center stood a young girl, no older than 12, wearing a faded red dress. Her presence alone wasn't what made people stop, it was the way they held up their phones, captivated. There was something too polished about her movements, too rehearsed. A street performance? A plea for help? Whatever it was, it made Elon pause, just for a moment. The meeting continued in his truck, his voice steady as he explained the Cybertruck's exoskeleton and its groundbreaking durability. He answered questions about battery range with a confident smile, nodding to the camera. But his mind? It was still back at that intersection, replaying the scene. When the light turned green, honks from impatient drivers pulled him back. He pressed the accelerator, pushing forward, forcing himself to refocus. But as the meeting went on, discussing launch timelines and marketing strategies, something about that moment kept gnawing at him. The girl. The crowd. The way they watched. An hour later, as the meeting wrapped up, Elon made a decision. Instead of heading back to the Tesla factory, he took a detour. "I have a small errand to run," he said, ending the call. The Cybertruck's quiet hum filled the cabin as he turned back toward the intersection. The air inside felt different, charged with something unknown. He didn't know what he would find when he got there. Would she still be standing there? And if so, what was her story? Something told him this wasn't just another moment in his busy day. It was something else. Something bigger. And Elon Musk, the man who built rockets and redefined the future of transportation, found himself unable to resist the mystery waiting for him just down the road. The Cybertruck's tires crunched over loose gravel as Elon pulled up near the intersection, his eyes scanning the scene. The crowd that had gathered earlier was now dispersing, people drifting away in twos and threes, their curiosity apparently satisfied. But she was still there. The girl in the red dress. Now, without the crowd obscuring his view, Elon could see details he had missed before. The dress, though striking, was worn, small tears at the hem, patches of dirt hinting at long use. The tin can in her hands, now clearly visible, held a modest collection of coins and a few crumpled bills. It didn't add up. The way people had been fixated on her, the money she had collected, it didn't match her ragged appearance. And Elon Musk was not a man who liked unsolved equations. Making a quick decision, he reached for the glove compartment, pulling out a pair of sunglasses and a plain baseball cap. His face was too recognizable, especially in Texas. If he wanted real answers, he needed to blend in. The moment he stepped out of the Cybertruck, the heat hit him, stark and dry, a sharp contrast to the climate-controlled cocoon of his vehicle. As he approached, the girl's eyes flicked toward him, cautious but not surprised. She had clearly been approached by strangers before. That realization alone was unsettling. Before Elon could say a word, a voice cut through the air. "There you are, sweetie. Great job today." A woman appeared, hurrying toward them, a professional-grade camera slung around her neck. Her smile was warm, practiced, too practiced. Elon turned slightly, his expression unreadable. "I'm sorry if my daughter bothered you," the woman said quickly. That performance, it was part of a school project. A social experiment to observe public reactions to child beggars. "We're filming it for her class." Her explanation was smooth. Too smooth. Elon's eyes flicked to the girl, still silent. "A school project," he echoed, his tone neutral. "That's quite an elaborate setup for homework." The woman nodded enthusiastically. "Oh yes. Her teacher is very progressive, believes in hands-on learning experiences." She didn't recognize him. That realization gave him the freedom to press further. "If it's just a social experiment," he asked, "why collect actual money from people?" For the first time, the woman hesitated, just for a split second. Then, her smile snapped back into place. "Oh, we're donating all the funds to homeless charities. It's part of the project's ethical considerations." "I see," Elon said, though in truth, he saw very little that made sense. "And which charities would those be?" The woman's hand tightened on the girl's shoulder. "Oh, various local organizations. We haven't finalized the list yet." She shifted, her grip subtly guiding the girl away. "Now, if you'll excuse us, we really must be going. We have to edit the videos, homework's due tomorrow, after all." Before Elon could say anything else, she was already leading the girl away, her voice unnaturally cheerful as she talked about video editing software and deadlines. Elon watched them disappear down the street, slipping his sunglasses back on as he processed the encounter. The professional camera. The threadbare clothing. The overly rehearsed explanation. None of it aligned. He walked back to the Cybertruck, sliding into the driver's seat but not starting the engine. Instead, he sat there, staring out at the street, replaying the conversation in his mind. Something was off. Elon Musk had built his success on noticing patterns others ignored, on questioning what people took at face value. And this didn't sit right. His jaw set in quiet determination. This wasn't the end. Whatever was going on with that girl and her supposed mother, there was more to it than a school project. As the Cybertruck merged into traffic, its sleek, angular frame turning heads, Elon paid no attention to the curious glances from other drivers. His mind was elsewhere, locked onto the puzzle that had just unfolded before him. And he had every intention of solving it. Elon's hands tightened on the steering wheel, his eyes scanning the sidewalks as he retraced the route the girl and her so-called mother had taken. The further he drove, the more a realization began to settle in. This wasn't just any route. It was the same road leading out of the city toward his factory. Coincidence? Maybe. But Elon didn't believe in coincidences. His curiosity burned hotter with each familiar turn. He found himself easing off the accelerator, his gaze darting from side to side, half expecting to spot that flash of red again. And then, there they were. The woman and the girl had turned onto a side street, one that led straight into one of Austin's poorest neighborhoods. Elon rarely, if ever, drove this way. Normally, he passed by, his route to the factory clean and efficient, untouched by the realities of this part of town. A rush of adrenaline hit him, the thrill of discovery colliding with a sobering realization: his Cybertruck was far too recognizable. Its angular, futuristic design, its very association with him, would stand out like a beacon in this neighborhood. He could already imagine the stares, the whispers, the rumors. Elon Musk rolling through the slums? That would be a headline. He clenched his jaw. This wasn't the time for impulsive moves. With a mix of reluctance and calculation, he made a choice: drive past the turn. Stick to the factory route. He could come back later, but in something less conspicuous. As the streets of the neighborhood faded in his rearview mirror, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was leaving behind an unfinished story. His fingers tapped against the steering wheel. "I'll come back. I'll drop the truck and come back." The words were quiet but firm, a promise to himself. The Cybertruck ate up the remaining miles effortlessly, bringing him back to the Tesla facility. As soon as he pulled in, a team of engineers approached, eager to discuss the day's test results. But Elon was elsewhere. "Great work today," he said, tossing one of them the keys. "We'll reconvene tomorrow to go over the data." The team exchanged puzzled glances at his abrupt manner, but Elon was already walking, heading toward the lot where his personal vehicles were parked. The afternoon sun was warm against his face as he weighed his next move. He had hours left in the day. The mystery of the girl in the red dress gnawed at him. After a brief pause, he made up his mind. He climbed into a more modest sedan, something that wouldn't draw attention in the neighborhood. As he settled into the driver's seat, a mix of anticipation and uncertainty swirled inside him. Chances were slim that he'd find her again. By now, she was probably indoors, lost in the maze of rundown houses. But still, something compelled him to go back. If nothing else, he wanted to see this part of Austin, the side of the city he had built his empire in but never truly stepped into. This time, the drive back was quicker, unencumbered by the stairs the Cybertruck had drawn. As he entered the neighborhood, his sharp eyes picked up details he hadn't noticed before. The makeshift homeless camps. The boarded-up storefronts. The weight of neglect that seemed to press down on everything. Children played in the streets, their laughter sharp against the bleakness. Old men sat on stoops, watching the world pass by with weary eyes. And then, like a jolt of color in a black and white world, he saw it. A flash of red. The girl. She was walking alone this time, her tin can nowhere in sight. The woman, the one who claimed to be her mother, was gone. Elon's heart picked up speed. He slowed the car, careful, deliberate, not wanting to spook her. But the girl, she knew. Her head snapped up. Her wide eyes locked onto his windshield. And then, without hesitation, she ran. Elon barely had time to process before instinct kicked in. His foot hit the brake. The car barely came to a stop before he was out, slamming the door behind him. She was fast. Too fast. Darting through alleyways, vaulting over fences, moving with the kind of agility that wasn't just survival, it was trained. Elon knew he wouldn't catch her in the car. He took off on foot. The chase led them through a maze of streets, each turn pulling him deeper into the unknown. And for the first time in a long time, Elon Musk, the man who had conquered space and revolutionized transportation, felt like he was the one being led. The question was, where? Elon's breath came in ragged gasps as he pushed forward, struggling to keep up. His designer shoes, built for boardrooms, not back alley chases, were failing him. But he didn't stop. The girl led him through narrow alleys, past crumbling buildings, deeper into the outskirts of the neighborhood, until the world opened up into something unexpected, an empty field stretching out before them. And beyond that, looming like a forgotten beast, was a vast industrial site enclosed by chain-link fencing. A landfill. Elon slowed as realization dawned. She wasn't running aimlessly, she had a destination. To his amazement, the girl reached the fence without hesitation. With the grace of someone who had done this many times before, she scaled it in seconds, disappearing into the maze of garbage containers and parked green trucks on the other side. Elon stopped at the fence, chest rising and falling as he caught his breath. His gaze lingered on the spot where she vanished, awe and concern battling inside him. She moved too fluidly, too instinctively. This wasn't a one-time escape. She knew this place. This was where she belonged. He stood there, staring at the landfill, faced with a choice. He could turn around now, return to his world of high-tech innovation, billion-dollar deals, and controlled, calculated risks. Or he could keep going. Step into a reality he had never confronted. Deep down, he knew the choice had already been made. With a slow, steady breath, he began circling the perimeter of the landfill, scanning for a way inside. He wasn't leaving without answers. The landfill sprawled out before him, a wasteland of discarded remnants from a city that kept moving forward, leaving its past behind. The fence stretched in both directions, an imposing barrier between the outside world and whatever secrets lay within. Elon moved carefully, his sharp eyes searching for any sign of movement. The facility was eerily quiet. No workers. No security. Just the distant hum of machinery somewhere deeper inside. He returned to the spot where the girl had vanished. The harsh afternoon sun cast no shadows, only an unfiltered, relentless light that seemed to strip everything bare. He hesitated, then called out. "Hello?" His voice was calm, steady, carrying into the stillness. "I'm not here to hurt you. I just want to talk." Silence. Then, a voice. Small. Cautious. "You should leave." Elon's heart leapt at the sound. He moved closer to the fence, scanning the rows of containers. "It's not safe for you here." His grip tightened on the chain links. "Please," he said, his voice softer now. "I just want to understand. Why are you here?" There was a long pause. Then, from behind a rusted container, a figure emerged. The girl. Her red dress was now streaked with dirt, her expression a guarded mix of weariness and curiosity. She steadied him through the fence, her posture tense but unwavering. "I live here," she said simply. Elon's stomach twisted. He crouched slightly, trying to meet her gaze. "You live here? In the landfill?" His voice was gentle but probing. "But what about the woman from earlier? She said she was your mother." At the mention of the woman, the girl's expression hardened. "She's not my mother," she said, her voice sharp with resentment. "My real mom died months ago. That woman just pays me." Elon blinked. "Pays you?" The girl, Kelly, as she finally introduced herself, nodded. "For what?" She hesitated, shifting slightly. Then, as if deciding it didn't matter anymore, she answered, "For videos." Elon's gut clenched. "What kind of videos?" Kelly shrugged, her voice emotionless. "I don't really know. She makes me act like a beggar. Tells me what to say. People give money. Sometimes they record it. I just do what she tells me." Elon's jaw tightened. He had seen viral videos like that before, heart-wrenching clips of children pleading for help, stirring outrage, opening wallets. Some were real. Some, he now realized, were orchestrated. "And you go along with it because," he prompted. Kelly straightened, her dark eyes flashing with defiance. "Because I need the money. For school." Elon's brow furrowed. School? He thought back to the woman's story, how this was all just a social experiment, part of some progressive curriculum. Now, it sounded like a lie designed for an audience. Kelly's posture stiffened, her tone turning defensive. "Does it matter?" She shifted on her feet, suddenly uneasy. "Why are you asking me all this?" Elon exhaled, sensing he was pushing too hard. He needed a different approach. Okay, he said, lifting his hands in surrender. "No more questions." He glanced back toward the street. "But if we talked over some food, would you tell me more about that woman?" Kelly hesitated. "There's a pizza place not far from here." His tone was casual, inviting, as if this were any other conversation. No strings attached. Just pizza. And a place to sit down. Her stomach growled, faint but unmistakable. She crossed her arms, pretending not to care. "I don't know," she murmured, glancing toward the road, weighing her options. Elon shrugged. "Your call." For a long moment, she stood there. Then, with an air of forced indifference, she turned, darting toward the fence, scaling it with the same practiced ease. Elon watched as she landed lightly on the other side. She didn't run this time. She just waited. And without another word, he turned and started walking toward his car, knowing she would follow. This mystery wasn't over. It was just beginning. Impressed by her agility and confidence, Elon watched as Kelly landed effortlessly on the other side of the fence. She turned back, a faint smirk tugging at her lips. "You coming or what?" she asked, her tone edged with challenge. Elon chuckled softly, shaking his head. He hadn't expected this chase to turn into a dinner invitation, but here they were. Without another word, he followed her lead, guiding them toward the pizza place. The conversation that lingered between them was far from finished. As they stepped into the dimly lit restaurant, the familiar scent of melted cheese and grease filled the air. The grumpy owner, a balding man in a stained apron, looked up from behind the counter. His eyes landed on Kelly, and his lips curled into a frown. "Working again," he muttered, his tone laced with irritation and faint curiosity. Elon raised an eyebrow at the remark, but Kelly ignored it entirely. Without a word, she made a beeline for the farthest booth in the corner, sliding into the seat with practiced ease. Elon followed, curiosity mounting. He discreetly adjusted his hat, tucking his head slightly to avoid unnecessary attention. As he sat across from her, he leaned in slightly. What did he mean by working again? Elon asked, his voice low but probing. Kelly shrugged, keeping her eyes fixed on the scratched tabletop. He's just nosy, she said flatly. Don't mind him. Elon wasn't convinced. Nosy, maybe. But he knows you. And it sounds like he knows what you do. Kelly shot him a warning glance, her voice dropping to a whisper. Just leave it, okay? He doesn't matter. Elon nodded slowly, though his mind was far from letting it go. Instead, he signaled for a menu, all the while watching Kelly out of the corner of his eye. She had sunk deeper into the booth, her defenses still up. When the pizza arrived, Elon slid 4 slices onto the tray between them. He motioned for her to eat, offering a faint smile. No strings attached. Just eat. You can talk if you want, or not. Up to you. At first, Kelly hesitated, but hunger eventually won. She grabbed a slice, nibbling cautiously at the crust before finally digging in. As the tension at the table eased, so did her guard. You said you're saving for school, Elon began gently, watching her closely. What kind of school is it? Kelly paused, wiping her hands on a napkin. Her eyes darted away before she answered. It's not a real school. We call it that, though. She hesitated, then continued. It's run by this old guy. Everyone calls him the principal. He teaches out of his house. Elon's brow furrowed. An old guy teaching from his house? How does that work? Kelly shrugged, taking another bite before explaining. We pay by subject. Math, science, art, whatever. I don't have enough for everything, so I only pick what I like. A spark of excitement flickered in her eyes as she spoke. Art and science are the best. The principal's kind of grumpy, but he knows his stuff. Did you know you can mix certain chemicals to make paint colors that last forever? Elon leaned forward, drawn in by her enthusiasm. Sounds like you're really into it. Have you always liked science? She nodded, her expression softening. Yeah. My mom used to say I'd be a scientist one day. That's why I save every dollar I can to keep going. Elon's tone grew more serious. Why hasn't anyone, your principal or anyone else, reported this situation? There are programs, orphanages, people who could help you. Kelly's expression darkened. She shook her head vehemently. You don't get it. Around here, we don't trust the system. The government doesn't help people like us. They just take. Immigrant kids, she hesitated, choosing her words carefully, they're afraid of being deported. And kids like me? They'd shove us in orphanages. And those places aren't any better than the streets. Elon studied her closely, sensing the pain behind her words. And the principal? Why does he do it? Kelly's voice quieted. He says it's better for us to learn something than nothing. He doesn't ask questions, and we don't give him trouble. It works. For now. Her words were pragmatic, but the longing in her eyes told a different story, one of dreams too big for her small, contained world. Elon leaned back, considering his next move. Kelly, he said after a pause, his tone soft yet deliberate. How can I help you? I have resources. Connections. I can make sure you and your guardian are taken care of, get you proper schooling, a safe place to live. Kelly froze. Then, her walls came crashing back up. I don't need your help, she said firmly, standing abruptly. Wait, Elon started, but before he could say anything more, Kelly was already reaching for the pizza box. She grabbed it with practiced efficiency, tucking it under her arm. I'm fine on my own, she said, heading toward the exit. Let me at least drive you back, Elon called after her. Kelly turned, shaking her head. I'm good. Then, after a brief pause, she added, thanks for the pizza. And with that, she was gone. The bell above the door jingled softly as it swung shut behind her. Elon sat there, staring at the empty booth across from him. The faint scent of melted cheese and warm crust still lingered in the air, but the room suddenly felt colder, quieter. Behind the counter, the owner watched him, his gruff expression unreadable. "You got too many questions, rich guy," he muttered. Elon exhaled slowly, rubbing his hands together as if trying to shake off the weight of the conversation. Too many questions. And nowhere near enough answers. As he stood to leave, he made a decision. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. The gruff pizza shop owner glanced at the door, then back at Elon. "That girl's tough," he muttered. "Not like the others." Elon tilted his head. "You've known her long?" The man snorted, wiping his hands on a towel. "Since she was born. Used to run around here with her mom." Elon leaned in. "What happened to her?" The owner's expression hardened. "Not my business anymore. And it shouldn't be yours either." Realizing he'd get nothing more, Elon sighed and paid his bill. As he stepped outside, dusk had settled, casting long shadows over the streets. He hesitated, looking in the direction Kelly had disappeared. His rational mind told him to head home, but something in his gut told him this story wasn't over. Instead of driving back to Boca Chica, he found a hotel nearby, unable to shake the feeling that Kelly's life was more complicated than it seemed. The receptionist recognized him despite his low profile, forcing him to discreetly alert his security team. But even as he settled into his room, his thoughts remained on Kelly. Restless, Elon opened his laptop, searching YouTube for videos featuring child beggars and social experiments. After scrolling through several pages, he found it, a thumbnail of Kelly in her red dress at the same intersection where he'd first seen her. He clicked. The 15-minute video played out like a performance, too polished, too rehearsed. Kelly recited a heartbreaking story, her expressions perfectly crafted for maximum emotional impact. The comment section was divided. Some called it exploitation, others defended it as a social experiment. The video ended with a promise that all money would go to charity. But Elon had seen the reality. There were no donations. Kelly had said it herself, she was saving for her school. A sick feeling settled in his stomach. Closing his laptop, he checked the time, 11:53 p.m. Sleep wasn't coming. The thought of Kelly sleeping in a landfill while he lay in a luxury hotel gnawed at him. What if the woman moved her before he had a chance to help? Making a decision, he grabbed his keys and walked out into the night. A harsh reality. As Elon drove through the quiet streets, movement near a homeless camp caught his eye. He slowed. The woman from earlier, the one with the camera, was there. Parking at a safe distance, he stepped out and followed her in the shadows. Another figure joined her, Kelly, still in her red dress. Elon watched as Kelly handed over a black plastic bag. The woman peeked inside before they walked off together, heading toward a dark structure ahead. Then he saw it. Not a home. Not even a shelter. A burnt-out house, its walls barely standing, its windows empty sockets. Kelly and the woman huddled inside under a tattered blanket, illuminated only by a dim battery-powered lantern. They pulled items from the trash bag, old shoes, a book, anything salvageable. Then Kelly reached inside and pulled out a pizza box, the same one she had taken earlier. "I saved you some," she said, holding it out. The woman hesitated before taking a bite. "Thanks, kiddo," she murmured, her voice softer than before. Elon stood frozen. This was their life. The landfill wasn't just a hiding place, it was survival. And the staged videos? A desperate way to make money. Drawing in a steady breath, he stepped out from the shadows. An offer of trust. The moment they spotted him, Kelly tensed, stepping protectively in front of the woman. "You again," the woman said, her eyes wary. "What do you want?" Elon raised his hands in peace. "I'm not here to cause trouble. I just want to understand." Kelly's voice was sharp. I told you, we don't need your help. The woman glanced at Kelly, then back at Elon. You met him again today? Kelly hesitated. Didn't answer. Elon took the opening. Yes. And I've been worried ever since. His voice was steady, sincere. I won't call the police. I won't bring in child services. I just think there's a better way. Silence. Then, finally, the woman exhaled. Fine. We'll listen. Elon nodded. I just need one thing first, the truth. The woman hesitated. Then, after a long pause, she spoke. My name's Alexandra. I'm Kelly's mother. And this, she gestured to the burnt house, used to be our home. She explained how a fire had taken everything, their home, her husband, their stability. The videos were the only way they could survive without drawing too much attention. Elon listened. Every word cemented his decision. I can help, he said simply. I can rebuild this house. Get Kelly into a real school. Help you start over. Alexandra crossed her arms, skeptical. And what do you want in return? Nothing. His voice was firm. No cameras, no press. Just a chance to change things. Kelly's eyes flickered with something almost like hope. A new beginning. For the first time, Alexandra's guarded stance softened. All right, she said finally. We'll listen. Elon's smile was small but genuine. You need a safe place to stay tonight. I have a property nearby, it's not much, but it's clean. Or, if you're not ready for that, I can book you a room at my hotel. Alexandra hesitated, then nodded. Just for tonight. As they packed what little they had, Elon guided them to his car. The night air was cool as they drove to the hotel. Alexandra was silent, lost in thought. Kelly, though exhausted, kept stealing glances at Elon as if trying to figure him out. By the time they arrived, the hotel lobby was nearly empty. The receptionist recognized Elon instantly but said nothing as he arranged a separate room for them. He handled it quietly, protecting their dignity. Before they parted, Alexandra met his gaze. Thank you, she said simply. Kelly just nodded, gripping the room key in her small hand. As the door shut behind them, Elon stood there for a moment, exhaling deeply. He wasn't just offering a roof over their heads. He was offering something they hadn't had in a long time. A future. And he wasn't going to let them down.